Can you hear me now? How's everybody doing over there? Cool. How y'all doing out there? Ready for the weekly sweat with some gems? $100 cash for first minimum, and it's probably more because there's probably been some donations. Hunter and Sped really taking us to the big time here. Our little weekly sweat, huh? Yeah. Sock said bye, Rachel. Said Dangle. She was heating up some food. Hopefully it goes better than last time, right? I mean, both from a draw, how well we draw, and from a internet perspective. I mean, I think it's working okay. I don't know. I mean, I streamed from here the week before, like once also. Like, not last week, but the week before that. I did commentary when it was chaos. And we didn't really have internet problems. And I mean, I think my internet was a little better in my apartment than my parents' house. But, like, they have fine internet. They have, like, you know, whatever fast cable internet, you know, you're supposed to have that you have in the suburbs in Florida. It's not like... So I think last week was just like, you know, whatever. I feel like in this day and age, like, it's all pretty hit or miss. Like, a lot more people are working from home, streaming, watching streams, whatever. So I feel like once in a while, you just spike, like, everybody's on or something at the same time, you know? I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's how it works or not, but it feels like, to me, like, most of the time it's good, and then once in a while, it's just not. But most of the time, it's, like, really fast and good, like, up-down speeds of, like, 150, 200, you know, like, really good internet. And then, like, it'll just be, like, 10% of the time that it's just bad. I don't know if it actually works like that or for those reasons, but that's just my, like, hypothesis as somebody who, you know, doesn't know anything about technology. I played the Decathlon sealed. I didn't advance. I mean, I gave it a couple attempts, not too many. I'm worried that too much of the Decathlon will be constructed. Like, obviously, if there's a limited Decathlon, I would take it seriously, or, you know, semi-seriously. I would play the events and try and advance. But if I'm going to have to play a bunch of constructed formats, I'll pass. But I fired a couple of the sealeds anyway, just because even if I didn't play further, you know, it's relatively inexpensive, and I just thought it would be a fun event. And I did enter 2 or 3 times. And, you know, obviously I didn't offer. I got like 4 wins and 5 wins and 2 wins or whatever. But I didn't get a 7 winner out of the couple of attempts. Hey, thanks for resubscribing, Ixa. No, I'm not streaming a ton these days, but I still appreciate the support. Thank you, Glowing Seal. Appreciate the subscription. I hope you're glowing because you're happy and not because of toxic waste that we dump in the ocean. Thanks for subscribing to my stream. Oh, I didn't even see. I saw Jim Davis beat Elias in the finals last week. That was pretty cool. Congrats to Jim Davis on the win. Again, I want to shout out Wizards of the Coast and Macherino. Thank you for sponsoring our weekly sweat, our weekly streamer draft league here, making it a little sweeter and a little more fun by contributing some gems and money. We definitely appreciate it. Great work to Hunter and Sped for making it happen. And thanks again to Wizards and Macherino for sponsoring. I was a little off it with Cat. Also, I've been putting in mad poker hours because I'm in the process of buying a house and they're crazy expensive right now. But, you know, honestly, switching to best of 3 from best of 1 has been a really positive change. I'm, like, slowly really starting to enjoy it more again. I didn't think it made much of a difference, but I think Cuneo really explained it well. It feels weird because so best of one, you with the hand smoother, you cut out like a lot of the worst 10% of games, and that's a good thing. You know, it's not actually good to feel a mana screw once in a while so you appreciate the no, nothing like that. Cutting out the worst 10% of games is a good thing, but it really like homogenizes the other 70% of games or 90% of games or whatever. It really makes them all feel more similar and a lot less like, you know, you get a lot less good games that are different and interesting. And I think that was just kind of taking a lot of the enjoyment out of it for me, because if you play so much and the games are all really similar, then obviously it gets boring, right? And what's always made Limited so fantastic is that there's usually a great diversity of decks and games and the way the games play. You know what I mean? Even if you're like the same color combinations, sometimes you're on the aggro, sometimes they are, sometimes you play a long grindy game, sometimes you go aggro. You know, it's like Limited, there's a lot of like diversity in gameplay. And I feel like the Hand Smoother and Best of One was really cutting into that. So aside from sometimes while playing poker, and I need things to be really short, because sometimes when I'm playing poker, if I get into a big hand, I just let myself time out of the game or something like that. But aside from when I'm doing things like that, I play like all best of 3 now when I actually just want to have fun and, you know, have a couple hours to go sit and draft and whatever. And that's been making it more fun for me. I've definitely been enjoying it considerably more since I switched to best of 3. And the formats may play a role as well. I don't think, you know, this current format is like amazing, but I think that both Innistrades have been substantially better than the couple that came before it. I think Strixhaven and D&D Limited were pretty bad. So, like, you know, between playing all best of 1 and 2 pretty bad formats, and then getting back to best of 3 and 2 pretty good formats, I think I've been enjoying it more, so that's been nice. Once I get set up, once I move out of my parents' place, get set up, I'll probably stream more again. I'm not promising anything specific, but, you know, like, probably, like, it'll be like Sweatsuit and maybe a little before, and maybe like one other day a week. You know, maybe like 2 nights a week or something, and not just the moment the Sweatsuit starts. Anyway, though, for now, I do got to get going on the Sweatsuit. I don't even know. They might be waiting on me already. I'm just chatting with y'all, lost in my head. Let me find the brackets and make sure that I'm not holding up the draft. McDonald's is amazing, Dangle. You will never slander McDonald's in my presence. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Okay, we're still waiting on somebody, which is perfect. We're waiting on exactly one person besides me, so I was officially not holding this up because now we're still waiting on one other person. Everything works out. I don't think, like, the Innistrades are, like, the greatest. The last set I would give, like, an A rating to, like an A, would be Zendikar Rising. But that said, I think the Innistrades have been good. They've been, you know, like, you can draft a lot of different decks. The games are interesting. They're fun. You know, like, you play a variety of different types of games. Like, they're perfectly enjoyable limited formats. They're 6s or 7s or 8s, you know, whatever. But, so, I mean, to each their own, obviously. But I've definitely been enjoying it more again. Nobody likes a braggart, Dangle. And on that note, we have 8 in the queue, so this draft should be firing any second now. Modern technology is amazing, huh? 2 clicks, we go from Arena to a draft in browser because Arena refuses to let you make your own pods, but nonetheless. I do think Vow has a lot of broken rares, but I think that I'm streaming. I think that's normal. It's funny. So anyways, little knock on the door from my mom, high school style. Not that you could stream back when I was in high school. The internet barely worked. But yeah, I think Val's rares are pretty powerful and a little more than usual. But we've had tons of broken rares in every set for a long time now. It definitely makes the game worse, in my opinion. But I don't think it's like a huge deal in this set in particular, as opposed to every other one. Like, I don't know, everybody's been going nuts about it, and like there's probably a few more like total unbeatable period rares, like the slug thing. But like, again, there's always tons of broken rares, and if there's there's playable counter spells. Counter spells are playable in the format. There's plenty of removal. So I don't like find it to be format ruining, just a small negative. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not like anointing this format. Zendikar Rising is the last format that I would give like you know, like I don't want to call it 10, but like an A. You know what I mean? Like the last one that I would personally endorse as like this was a very good limited set was Zendikar Rising. But I've enjoyed Crimson Vow just fine. Yeah, Slug Guy is very silly. But it's also 7 mana. It can be killed. It can be countered. So obviously it's a very silly card though. I didn't like Kaldheim that much. Some of the gameplay was good, but it felt like the whole format was like Snow Control versus Boros aggro. Sure, maybe once in a while you played a few black creatures instead of red creatures in your white aggro deck. Maybe once in a while, you know, you drafted a Giants deck, but it felt like almost overwhelmingly it was just play Boros aggro versus Snow Control over and over and over again. That's a pretty good pun, Socks. Slug Guy is toxic, I agree. I don't think they care either way, Hypnotoad. The draft has not happened yet. You're looking at the draft queue. All 8 of us are there, so I'm not really sure why we're not firing, but maybe they're waiting for somebody else from a different queue or one of the commentators or something like that. That's above my pay grade. Yeah, that's why I have like the Innistrades, Doc Shelby. They've been pretty balanced. I've generally felt like you could play almost every color combination in both Innistrades. Not saying some aren't better than others or some aren't deeper than others, But by and large, you know, if you find the right balance, you know, if your color combination only supports one player, as long as you're the only one drafting it. If it supports two, as long as there aren't more than two drafting it. As long as it was the right amount open for you to be drafting it, I generally feel like you can play almost anything. I'm going to go check the lobby, see what's going on, why this isn't firing. Well, it looks like we're waiting on somebody. I see some typing going on explaining it. Which is fine, but I don't know if it makes sense to hold all queues instead of just their queues. All 8 of the people in this queue are here. But whatever. I'll hang out with y'all a little bit. There's worse company to have while you wait for a draft to fire, right? Hanging out with some decent peoples, waiting for a draft to fire. Life could be worse. I've been okay. Doing a lot, like I said, but, you know, it's good. I mean, I kind of see life as, you know, the ability to do things. Like, I'm not one of those people, if there's, like, a lot on my plate, I'm like, oh, this sucks or whatever. It's like, you know, like, whatever. Have the ability to carry out some tasks and some functions and get some things done right now. And happy to have so much opportunity. What's up, Ken? Stream's all right. Hopefully it'll work better than last week. I mean, according to Google, my internet is fine. I mean, I don't know what happened last week. I mean, the internet was really bad last week. We did a speed test and the up-down was like 20 or something. So I think that, like, for whatever reason, we just had an internet problem last week. Good day from Australia. Blake can design. What do you design? Do I have any suggestions going into the player challenge? What's the player challenge? Shows you what I know. I'm playing tonight. Last week I went 0-1 very briskly. My draws were bad, to be honest. I mean, it's just the truth. I think one of the games I got stalled on 2 or 3, and one of them I got, like, mulled to 5 or something. But I think my opponent's deck was really good also. If I remember correctly, they had, like, a bunch of fight spells and, like, several green rares and uncommons, and just overall nice stuff. So definitely not saying with better draws I would have won or anything. I don't really know. The Decathlon's probably cool, like I said, but I played a few of the seals, didn't get through yet in that. I don't know if they're doing the same sealed again or draft or how many limited events there are, but I'm not even really much of a cuber, so like I said, you know, I like these like high stakes draft things. You know, they're really sweet. Like obviously I'm down for the like you know, the opens or even just the like, you know, those ones that are like double, like they just you win like tokens or whatever. They're basically like high stakes draft challenges they've had on the weekends. Like those are sweet, and I always play them, of course. But as far as like the decathlon, if it's going to be like a lot of constructed and cube and stuff that I don't really play, then I'm probably not that interested. Yeah, I'm sure I'll try some of that, Blake. But the problem is you have to get 3 tokens, right? I mean, I guess if I get like 2 unlimited, I can fire some standard one and just play aggro and hope I win. It's been pretty much my strategy for the set championships and all the constructed I've played over the past year or two. Just fire some basic aggro deck generally and hope I run hot. I have not run hot, not to spoil it. What's a turbo draft? I definitely don't mind drafting fast, if that's what that means. Spell cost reduced by 5. Yeah, that could be weird. Just play a 6-drop on turn 1. 5-drop colorless cards are the nuts. They literally cost 0. Or would it reduce colored mana as well? Like, would a green card that costs 4 cost 0? I don't know what's going on with this draft. Let me see if I can go check out the lobby. Okay, I think Sped's about to fire. he said something like, let's just join the draft and let's just draft whoever is in. I watched some of the Dolphins-Jets game. It was on, like, part of how I got so into sports is just, like, every poker room just shows sports, like, all the time. So, like, Sundays are a great day to play. They obviously have every game, and you can just go sit in there and have all the different games on. It's like a sports bar, and you can also play poker at the same time. Thanks, Daru. I don't know what to make of my Dolphins. I feel like, on the one hand, I want to be hopeful. We've mostly beat pretty bad teams, but at the same time, if you're winning all your games, and I mean, Tua looks all right, and I've been very critical and skeptical of him, but if he's going to keep getting better and be a good quarterback, I'll be ecstatic to be wrong. So I don't really want to have high hopes or anything, because I've seen this before, as the Dolphins have let us down for 20 years straight. But I hope we keep winning. I hope it's real. I hope next year, they're even better. They start out good and they develop and are a good team. Yeah, I still play poker regularly. I mean, that's been my primary source of income pretty much forever. Magic's way more fun, though. I don't even know how I first got into it. Me and my friend Steven literally used to play poker for baseball cards when we were in elementary school. And as far as like anything resembling a profession, I guess some of the Magic pros back in like 2003 were hosts on Ultimate Bet, and they got me the host job. But I started playing online poker before that, just for like very low stakes, very low stakes limit on Paradise and stuff like that. And like I said, even before that, we used to play Magic. We used to play poker for Magic cards when I was like in middle and high school. We just take stacks of rares and just, bet 3, bet 5, of our bad rares, of our like 25-cent rares. Yeah, hopefully it stays that way, Dara. I'm definitely better at Magic than poker. It's not even close. Unfortunately, people don't buy into F&M for $500. Yeah, maybe Socks. You got like a hidden high stakes F&M I don't know about? I mean, I think Magic's probably more complex than poker, Falcon, but also I started playing Magic regularly when I was 10 and like somewhat competitively when I was like 13. Like, I played in the first couple JSS Worlds, and I played in my first PTQs when I was 13 and 14. And even earlier, like, I would only call it, like, semi-competitively, but I learned how to play Magic when I was in 6th grade, right around my 11th birthday. And that same year, we were going to the store, the local stores, and playing, like, the $5 store credit, type tournaments. So, I mean, I was playing competitively, at least trying to, make my deck as efficient as possible and so on, since I was, like, 11 years old. So, that's a little different. I mean, even though, like I said, I was playing poker for rares and stuff, like, with friends, I didn't know the strategy. It wasn't that serious. We weren't, like... I didn't spend it was something I did for fun occasionally, whereas, like, Magic was, like, my life from, like, literally 11 years old on. I don't know. I mean, most of the, like, money drafts were not very high stakes. I mean, I'm sure there were a few high stakes ones that he was telling the stories of, and I'm sure, like, they happened and all of that. But the vast majority of team drafts, I think, were played for like $20, like that, probably like 50% or something. But I mean, there were probably some cool high stakes ones that some people did or something at some point. It was actually kind of nice because, there wasn't content when I was trying to get good at Magic. Like in the late 90s when I was a teenager and I was trying to get good, you couldn't just like watch everybody's draft videos and like, interact with the pros. So that team draft was a way to do that for not that much money, You'd be like, an underdog, but so you'd be negative EV $10 and you could play against the best in the world. It was actually kind of nice. It was a good way to kind of absorb some skill and see what they were doing. Okay, though, on to the draft. So, Stormcarved Coast, probably busted and constructed. Just a fine duel for limited, nothing special. Wolfcan Outkist is really good. If you start with this card and you prioritize wolves and werewolves, it's not hard to have a 4-mana 5/4 with a bunch of upside. Like, this is an excellent card. Remember, it's not a 6-mana 5/4. It's any wolf or werewolf, it's a 4-mana 5/4. And then it flips into something that lets you draw cards when it dies. Or any of your other wolves, werewolves. Okay, Wedding Security is also a pretty good 5-drop with blood tokens. Wandering Mind's excellent for blue-red, but of course it's a gold card. Not something you're really looking to splash or anything. The commons would be an easy Bleed Dry. Bleed Dry is excellent. Removal's fine in this format. So we're basically deciding between Bleed Dry and Wolfkin Outcast. I mean, I think that's it. I think those two are pretty close. Wedding Security probably in third. I mean, I feel like Wolfkin's probably better, but Bleed Dry's in a little bit better of a color, and Removal's kind of at a premium. So I think I'm going to go with the Bleed Dry. You could definitely take the Wolfkin Outcast. I don't know if that pick was right. I think it's pretty firmly between those two. They're both one-color cards. They're pretty close in power level. I feel like the good unconditional removal, like Bleed Dry, is kind of at a premium in this format, but I could be wrong. All right, let's see. Another dual land. Bloodthorn Squire's fine. I think the card is good if you're creature heavy, but also like 4-drops are just not that special in this format in general. Like there's the 4-mana 2/3 black creature that drains for 2 when it comes into play, and the 4-mana 3/3 menace vampire that makes a blood token. So like, Squire and those two are all pretty comparable in my opinion. So like it's kind of whatever about getting a good 4-drop. Good 4-drops are easy to get in black in this format. Weaver's a pretty good common. I like Weaver a lot. Usually you use it for mana like once, and then it turns into something that can attack or block profitably. These commons pretty much suck. Flourishing Hunter's good. I probably wouldn't take it over Weaver early. I might late if I don't have a lot of late game or whatever. So I think we are either staying black for Bloodthorn Squire or taking Weaver of Blossoms. I mean, I guess this is a really bad pack. I'll just stay black for Bloodthorn Squire. All right, so that pick at least worked out because Undead Butler is by far the best card in this pack, I think. I think Undead Butler is very good. And if it wasn't going to be that, then it would be Gift of Fangs anyway. I mean, Undead Butler's not a lot better than Gift of Fangs in my opinion, just a little bit better. I don't want to like oversell it, but Gift of Fangs is the second best card in the pack, and it's also black. But I do like the Butler a lot. There's plenty of ways to sack a body for profit in this format, the obvious being Exploit. And, like, you don't have to be, like, some focused blue-black Exploit deck, right? You can just have 2 or 3 black Exploit creatures. And then if you sack your Butler to one of them, you get the card back from your yard and you get the Exploit trigger. It's just a really efficient card. Gift of Fangs in a close second, but so this is an easy pick because we get to stay black. We don't have to look to other colors. And it's good to see that the next best card in the pack is black as well in Gift of Fangs. Yes, 3 straight dual lands. Not that that means a lot, just a coincidence. We could rare draft, but then we would just be getting our own rare since this is basically Phantom Draft. Let's see. Twin Blade Geist is pretty good. Not busted by any means, but a really nice body. Not really too big a fan of these blue 3-drops. Heron of Hope is pretty nice as well. Rot-Tide Gargantua is solid. I don't think it's like some amazing card. I mean, they generally sack their worst creature. I mean, they always sack their worst creature, but what I'm saying is, like, I've said this a lot of times. Edict effects where your opponent sacks their worst creature are generally not good. Once in a while, you squeeze some decent value out. Ones that make them sack their best creature generally are good. But it is also a 5-mana 5/4, and we already have Undead Butler, so I'm kind of interested. And then Sigarda's Imprisonment. Imprisonment's probably just the best card in the pack, and white seem pretty open. And black-white's a pretty good deck. So I think at this point, you know, I could take Rot-Tide Gargantua since black's the only color we're somewhat committed to. But seeing 3 good white cards in the pack, and white has already seemed open, I think I'm just going to take Imprisonment. Imprisonment's substantially better than Rot-Tide in my opinion, and I feel like we're certainly seeing white. There's also a chance we could splash it. It's kind of a good late game removal since that's when you have 5 to exile the creature, and that's when you can rummage away lands and blood is useful. So, like, in the event that we don't see white, maybe we'll pick up 1 Evolving Wild, or that black-white dual will table, and then we'll splash it. Okay, easy. Another Butler. If Butler wasn't in the pack, I'd take Kindly Ancestor. But, like I said, I really like Undead Butler. Especially getting a second. The reason cards like that get better in multiples, not because they necessarily... I mean, they actually kind of make each other better because they each mill 3 and then you get better stuff back, but that's not really the real reason why. It's not the main reason why. The main reason why it's good to get a second copy of a card like that early is because it's kind of a combo-ish card. It works really well with exploit creatures. So now that we already have 2 of those, and it's only 5 picks into the draft, we'll prioritize other things like that, like Doom Dissenter, and we'll prioritize exploit creatures and other things that let you sack creatures for profit, because we already have 2 things that we can profitably sack this early in a draft. So all of our Rot-Tide Gargantuas and other exploit creatures just got better. And we locked that up early, and now we have the whole draft to try and put that together, and the cards will be better than they would be in the aggregate because they're combo-ish cards. All right, let's see. Deathcap Blade, fine dual land. That's like the 4th dual land we've seen. But we're looking white. I mean, obviously we could still play black anything, but we haven't seen great green. There's no reason to believe we will. I think Griff Rider is good, so I think that's probably the pick. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't take a little bit worse black card over Griff Rider since we have 4 black cards and 1 white card. But Griff Rider is the best card in this pack, and I don't want to aim for the head or a black-green duel in particular. There's no black cards, basically, so we might as well take the best card in the pack that's in the color we're most likely going as our second color. I mean, we've seen, like, next to no blue. I mean, definitely 2 Butler makes you want to look at blue a little more, for sure. But, I mean, I don't think it's realistic that we're going to play blue in this draft. I mean, we've barely seen a playable blue card. Okay, so a pretty easy Courier Bat here, I think. Especially if we're going to be white with black, since white tends to be a color that gains life. I know we don't have any life gain yet, but, again, we have the whole rest of the draft to make that happen. Oh, yeah, that's another land. Yeah, Snowdown Pass. That's crazy. The Butlers are also good with the Bloodsworn Squire, right? This is for the number of creatures in the yard. So even though these return a creature when they die, they mill 3, so they help put creatures in your graveyard. So that's some positive synergy already. This pack does not look great for us. I mean, Piercing Light or Vampire Slayer are potentially okay, especially if it's best of 3. Like, if they have a lot of 2 toughness creatures and we're on the draw, we'll be happy to have Piercing Light. We can just board it in and out. Vampire Slayer, I mean, if we end up short 2-drops, but given we already have 2 better 2-drops, I highly doubt we're going to play a Vampire Slayer. So I think I would either take Piercing Light on color, or maybe, like, you know, Mulch or Apprentice Sharpshooter, if we ended up green, are certainly a lot better than a Piercing Light. I really don't think we're going to, though. White's been the most open color for us, other than black. So I don't, and we really just haven't seen that much good green. Green is pretty deep in this format. I feel like we have not seen much of it. All right, looks like a good opportunity to get Wedding Security. We don't have a single 5-drop. Perish Blade Trainee is fine, nothing special. I mean, it is good with sack stuff, so that's kind of a reason to lean towards it. But I mean, we don't, even though we don't make blood really yet, I mean, we have the whole rest of the draft, and we don't need a lot. You just, if you have a single blood token out, you're happy when you play Wedding Security. Attack, draw a card, it turns into a 5/5, life is good, right? It's not like you have to have 17 blood tokens out. And then you're drawing extra cards, maybe you'll make 1 more. I know it's weird to be able to survive without blood, but we'll get some sooner or later, right? I don't think Arm the Cathars is very good. I mean, obviously, if you have like an all-in aggro deck or something, it's kind of like a mini overrun. I don't think that's something we're looking at. We're going to be a really grindy black-white. We have good removal. grindy recursive cards, win cons with the Squire and Security and a Flyer. So I don't think that's what we want at all. I think this is Showdown Pass or Persistent Specimen. I'm going to take the Sundown Pass. I don't know why I call it Showdown Pass. This is not because I'm planning to splash red, but I might, right? If we pick up a single Evolving Wilds and we also have Sundown Pass, that makes a red splash really, really easy. And you just never know. Maybe we'll see some really good single red to cast powerful card or good removal spell out of a weak pack without any good black or white cards. So I'm not taking Sundown Pass there, planning to splash red. I'm taking it in case we splash red. All right, nothing here that I think really matters. These basics are sweet, but we can add whatever basics we want. Okay, well, welcoming Vampire is not actually welcoming at all to the opponent. It might be welcoming to your chances of winning the game, but that card is really busted. There's a lot of creatures that have power 2 or less generally, and if you play this on tap with it, then you play those, draw an extra card every turn, and it's pretty hard to lose when you play a 3-mana 2/3 flyer that draws an extra card every turn. So we're definitely going to take it. White was already by far the second color we were looking towards. If it wasn't in the pack, it would be Gift of Fangs or Desperate Farmer. I'd usually take Gift of Fangs, but you know, if you already have a couple Gift of Fangs, it's a card with pretty heavy diminishing returns. You don't, you know, sometimes if you draw 2 copies of it, there might not be a good target for the second one. But your first copy of it will almost always find a target and trade up a mana. So I like Gift of Fangs, and I would probably take it over Desperate Farmer, but I'm definitely taking Welcoming Vampire. Further solidifying us in black-white. So we need some life gain, because we have 2 Courier Bats, and we need some blood token making, and some exploit creatures. We got like half of a bunch of synergies. The good thing is these aren't like all-in combo cards. It's not like you have to draft your whole deck around Undead Butler or anything, or life gain, you know, for the bats. We just want to have some ways to do that, you know? Okay, well, I'd love to take this whole pack. Twinblade Geist and Doom Dissenter would be more good 2-drops with the sack synergy. Gluttonous Ghast gives us that life gain. Desperate Farmer and Diregraph Scavenger are both life gain also, and just good cards. Blood Crazed Socialite makes a blood token. So I'll take this pack. We'll call pack 2 over. Fair deal. Everybody's happy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 solid playables for me. Yeah, lock it in. Since we can't do that, I think I'm going to take Twinblade Geist. Not because it's the best of these cards, but because I'm definitely tabling 1 or 2 of these black cards, and I'd be pretty happy with all of them. And 2-drops are hard to get. And this is because I'm increasing the chances I table something really good. Because there's 1 white card and 5 black cards I want. So I'm going to take the 1 white card, and then I'll take whatever comes on the wheel of those black cards. So now there's Gift of Fangs and Resistance Squad. I like Resistance Squad a lot, but I don't think I have a lot of humans. None of my 2-drops are currently human. Undead Butler's, well, dead, so it can't be a human. I do have 1 Griff Rider, so I don't think that's going to be very good for me. So I think this is just an opportunity to pick up Gift of Fangs over not too much. Traveling Minister would be absolutely great for me. A cheap creature to draw cards off of Griff Rider and gain life for these bats. I mean, my creatures are all pretty small. Like, I have 1/4, 1/3. Everything else has 2 power or less, so Welcoming Vampire is looking sick. And if they kill it, I can get it back with the bats, potentially, and the butlers. This is going to be a really good grindy deck. So what we want to draft is life gain, removal, just grind, 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 grind. And along those lines, I think this is a Desperate Farmer. Hopefully we can table Rot-Tide Gargantua. Nurturing Presence is okay if you're really aggressive. I don't think I would love it in my deck. I might play it, I might not. I would consider it like playable but not exciting. Plenty Discussion's fine, I don't love it. Like, I'll probably play a copy of it since I'm a grindy deck, but also I'd rather get my card advantage through creatures like Undead Butler and Courier Bat and not have to pay 3 mana and not impact the board. I mean, it's all a balance, Kelvin Dill, but honestly, I'm not down with that. I think that There are a lot of ways to produce card advantage. Point of discussion is fine. But like bleed dry is almost irreplaceable as good on conditional removal. And like I said, if you can get your card advantage through Undead Butlers and Courier Bats, that's better than not impacting the board. Not saying, you know, Courier Bat you can't always turn on with Lifelink and Undead Butlers and Uncommon. We just happen to have those four. But if you have them, I'd rather be impacting the board and killing creatures. And I think bleed dry is fantastic. All right, I'm going to grab a Rot-Tide Gargantua here with the Twin Blade Geist and the 2 Butlers to sack. We've got some good synergy. Sacking also flips the farmer. Definitely want to pick up a couple Rot-Tide Gargantuas. I haven't been prioritizing it that highly because it's still 5-drop, so, you know, I'd like to get 2. I wouldn't like to get 4. You know, so I'm not... And I have Wedding Security, which is a better 5-drop, so I'm not going to take them too aggressively. But I do want a few. Okay, so we don't have a lot of life gain. Diagraph Scavenger gains life. Rot-Tide Gargantua works with the sack synergy. So I think it's between those two. We're not going to take Courier Bat number 3 yet. Kind of feeling the Gargantua. We already have the 2 Butlers and the Geist. We'll probably table the Doom Dissenter or get another opportunity to get another Doom Dissenter or something like that. So I think the second Gargantua is looking pretty good for us. And I mean, look, it's going to be a 17-land deck with removal. We're looking to play long games. Like, we can play another Rot-Tide or 2 still. Like I said, I'm not looking for 4, but it's not like I can't play 3 or 4. Hey, thanks for the subscription, Sparkling Owlbear. Appreciate the 2 months of support. So this pack kind of sucks for us, but given we could use the Blood token, I think Blood Servitor over Militia Rallier, though I'm hoping to play neither of these cards. Blood Servitor would definitely be pure filler if we played it. Gluttonous Guest is a good way to make blood tokens and gain life. Blood Servitor is just total filler. I would like a Traveling Minister for this deck. It would be quite a good card. I don't think there's a single card in this pack that can make our deck. Maybe Boarded Window will have the right matchup if all their creatures are tiny. Like if they're like a token-making 1/1 deck that goes wide or something. I don't like that card that much. I mean, it really just gains a bunch of life. And like, life gain is very rarely good on its own. You're going down a card, so gaining a bunch of life going down a card is not generally good. But it might have a matchup or two where you feel like basically, like, you know, like I said, imagine your opponent's whole deck were 1/1s. You would just win if you played that card. They literally couldn't deal you any damage. So, even though nobody's whole deck is going to be all 1/1s, if they make a lot of 1/1s, if they have a lot of 1 toughness creatures, some 2 toughness creatures, but their creatures are really tiny, then that card can be very good against them. Another pack where I don't think there's any way we're going to play any of these cards. I don't think this pick even matters. I think there's no way we're going to play Unholy Efficient in this deck. We're not like a counter synergy deck. I'm going to take this card just in case we splash in the right matchup or something like that. I probably wouldn't main deck Sanctify. I would board it in a little more aggressively, but probably wouldn't main it. Wow, so we got the Doom Dissenter back, which I'm really happy about since I got the 2 Gargantuas. That might be that might have been my first choice of those 4 or 5 black cards to get back. But all of the rest are missing, so there's a lot of black players in this pod. It's pretty noteworthy that we passed with 5 black cards, planning to get 1 back, and we got exactly 1 black. That means 4 black cards got taken by the 7 people that saw the pack after us. So that's kind of scary. Luckily, white seemed really open, so hopefully in pack 3, I predict we'll get a lot of white and not that much black, but we'll see. Hopefully the white will be good. Yeah, that's a good point too, Socks. I don't know what the deal is. We did table the Wedding Security. It is a good card. Although I'm not even sure if we're going to end up being able to play it. Like, at the moment, our only blood making is Blood Servitor, which is not a good card. So I'd probably cut Wedding Security and Blood Servitor right now. We're good on the sack synergy. We got the 2 Gargantuas, the Bloodthorn Squire. I know it doesn't sack, but it works well with putting creatures in the yard and stuff. And then the 2 Butlers, the Doom Dissenter, the Twin Blade Geist, the Farmer to flip. We're doing good on the, like, body sack synergy exploit. We're doing bad on the blood life gain. Alright, Manaform Hellkite is excellent, but it's double red, so we can't go there. Fell Stinger's excellent, and we've got 4 2-drops, all of which are very sackable on turn 3. So Fell Stinger should be excellent for us. And then there's Sigarda's Imprisonment, also excellent. So this is between Imprisonment and Fell Stinger. I think that there's a higher chance we'll table the Imprisonment, but I don't expect to table either. But I think Imprisonment is quite good, but I think Fell Stinger might just be better. With 4 creatures that we're happy to sack, I think that Fell Stinger might just be awesome in our deck, right? And I can still draft more, but I don't want to draft too many more Rot Tides because they cost 5. So I think I'm going to go with this. This might be the wrong pick over the Imprisonment. Maybe I'm valuing it too highly. But Fell Stinger, if you have a profitable creature to sack, like all 4 of our 2-drops, is a pretty incredible card, right? Like, 3 mana 3/2 Death Touch is a fine card, nothing special. 3 mana 3/2 Death Touch, draw 2 is a broken card. And, like, it's not exactly that. We have to sack a creature. But sacking a Butler or a Doom Dissenter is practically free. So with 4 2-drops that we're already happy to sack, Fell Stinger is not far from 3 mana 3/2, Death Touch, draw 2, lose 2, which is a really, really good Magic card. So let's see. Bleed Dry number 2 looks good. Like I said, we're looking to play grindy games. We want to have some good unconditional removal. Distracting Geist is good, but I don't think I'm going to take it over Bleed Dry. Sigarda's Imprisonment, also good, but a little worse than Bleed Dry, in my opinion. Ragged Recluse, a fine 2-drop with blood tokens, but it looks like we're not really going to do that. So Bleed Dry it is. I'll remember we have the blood stuff, but at this point, it doesn't look like we're going to make blood tokens. So we're doing good on the sack synergy, bad on the blood. Are we going to gain life? We are not very good at that either. So for the moment, I don't know if we're going to be able to make that happen. Maybe we'll get back-to-back Gluttonous Guests or some more lifelink. But for right now, this is what our deck actually does. And all of this is pretty good synergy and curve, and it's 16 cards. And then we know if we can gain life, we've got 2 Courier Bats. If we make blood tokens, we've got Wedding Security. Nothing special, but it seems like a pretty easy Drog Scale Infantry. Another 2-drop you're not unhappy to sack, and it's just a good card. Trade it off, bring it back, etc., etc. I think this is a pretty clear pick. I like Bloodthorn Squire just fine with the 2 Butlers and the sack and all that, but, I mean, Drog Scale Infantry is better. And it's just a 2-drop, which is a tougher slot to fill. So there's a Sigarda's Imprisonment. That's always going to be a solid pick for us. Otherwise, there's Distracting Geist, which again is a good card. I would happily play Distracting Geist in this deck. But I think Sigarda's Imprisonment's offering us more. Like I said, I'm looking to play grindy games. I've got good removal, 2 Imprisonment, 2 Bleed Dry, Gift and Piercing Light to slow them down. And then I've got all my card advantage to win. I know Imprisonment doesn't have great synergy with Rot-Tide Gargantua, but it's not horrible, because it's not like the Imprisonment just has to sit there forever. You can pay the 5 and exile the creature, and then you can play your Gargantua. Also, with the Imprisonments making 2 blood tokens, that might be enough to play the Wedding Security if we don't get any more 5-drops. Like, I think with 5 2-drops we're happy to sack, and a Desperate Farmer, I would definitely rather have another Rot-Tide Gargantua, let's say, than the Wedding Security. But if we don't get any more 5s, for this grindy 17-land deck, we could certainly play 3 5-drops, and then maybe we put the Wedding Security in along with the 2 Imprisonments. And there's a good one if we want. Gluttonous Guest hits both of those synergies. That can give us life gain, blood tokens. And I think we're already getting close to the Wedding Security. And with the Farmer and the Guest, we're not that far from making those Courier Bats, because we don't need a million ways to gain life, right? Like, Undead Butler can bring back these creatures. Like, are they really killing my Gluttonous Guest? It has 4 toughness and only 1 power. They're using a removal spell on it. And if they do, we can always get it back. You know, if after they trade with the Farmer, we can just play the Courier back that turn. It's not like we need to gain life every single turn. So I think that Gluttonous Guest will let us put back in the wedding security. And if we're able to pick up 1 or 2 more life gain, I'll feel okay about those Courier Bats. And I want to play the Courier Bats. The strategy for this deck is to win through grinding. Kind of like a Jund deck. We're going to like kill things and go up a card and recur things and kill things and just win like, you know, just a long grindy game. That's how this deck plays. Okay, so Griffwing Cavalry, it's kind of aggressive. It's fine. Our card's pretty low. We can probably use it, but I don't think it's some great card. I don't think any of these cards are good except really Sigardian Paladin, and I don't think we're going to splash green. We don't have any green sources. We didn't get an Evolving Wilds. Our only duel is red-white. Yeah, it seems unlikely. I'd prefer something that gained life, but there's none of that in the pack, so Griffwing Cavalry it is. All right, Desperate Farmer. That's another good life gain card to try and make those Courier Bats work. I'm pretty happy to pick that up. We've got, you know, Fellstinger and double Gargantua plus all the recursion. So we should be able to gain, like, flip these farmers and have 4/3 lifelinks. And then those will force trades, and then we can play the Courier Bats and get them back, potentially. I feel like with the Guest and the Farmer, we can probably play the Bats now. So this would be 24. Piercing Light could go. Probably the worst card. All the rest of these are pretty good. And I mean, we have a good curve, good synergy, good removal. I don't know what the worst card in is if we get something better at this point. And we definitely did. I'm definitely going to play Heron of Hope. Just good, consistent life gain. Just an excellent card. So I think this is a pretty easy Heron of Hope. Like I said, I'm not against Point of Discussion. I would play it, but I think Heron's better. But now we got to figure out what to cut. Our 2-drops are pretty much uncuttable. Our worst 3 is probably the second Courier Bat. Our worst 4 is the Griffwing Cavalry. Our worst 5 is the Wedding Security. Yeah, I'll probably cut the Cavalry. I didn't think that card was fitting our deck that well. It's not training that well. We don't have many creatures with more than 2 power. Heron of Hope fits our deck perfectly as another life gain source for the Courier Bats. Also 2 power, so it draws a card off the Vampire. It's pretty much everything we want. Aim for the head for the sideboard. No shot I'm going to main it, but we'll board it in sometimes. Yeah, Griff Rider could be cut as well. Like I said, that's not getting trained. I think that's our worst 3-drop. If we had to cut it like a 3, I think it would be Griff Rider. If we pick up like another late card that we want more, like a Rot Tide or a Gift of Fangs or a Doom Dissenter, then I think the next cut is probably Griff Rider. I think both bats are probably going to be good now. We have a decent amount of life gain. Kind of got there on that. Heron of Hope, Gluttonous Guest, double Desperate Farmer. 4 different cards that gain life, and they're like all creatures, so we can get them back with Butlers and mill 3 to find them. I think there's no way we're going to play any of these cards. I don't think they matter. Kiss might be like serviceable, but I don't think we need it. Again, I don't see it making it over any of these cards, and I think we're alright on life gain. Wow, another Bloodthorn Squire I kind of like. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it or not. I'm not sure what the last cut is. Yeah, we can play it over Griff Rider, right? Griff Rider's really doing next to nothing for us. And we have a good curve still. That's our 5th 4-mana card, 3 5s. We got tons of 3s and 2s. Well, not tons of 2s, but tons of 3s, and I would like 1 more too. Edgar's Awakening, if we have enough blood tokens. I don't think we have a ton. We have the Imprisonment, the Guest. Yeah, we don't have a ton of blood tokens. Not saying we can't play it. I just think it's probably worse than anything we have. Okay. I think we've got our deck. A little grindy black-white. Looks perfectly fine to me. Nothing special, but good curve, good removal. Plenty of power to close with and card advantage. Should be a pretty good deck overall, I think. 13 and 4, yeah, that's a little extreme. Let's see if we want to do 9-8 or 10-7. 2 double black cards, and we do have a lot more black than white, so I could see 10-7, but... Oh, these are all double black too. Okay, yeah, so we'll do 10-7, but we're not going to do 13-4. You don't just count the mana symbols. White is not a splash. We have like 7 or 8 white cards, right? 2, 4, well 6, but pretty close. We have 6 white cards, so we still want to draw planes every game. So yeah, we won't go 9-8, we'll go 10-7 because we have some double black and a lot more black, but it's still going to be a 10-7 here. Should we have hate drafted the 1-4? What 1-4? I'm not big on hate drafting. I'm not saying it can never be right, but I don't remember when or what it was over. Oh, let's craft whatever we're missing. I don't know what's going on. Does it think this is constructed or something? Hopefully it'll let me use it. I mean, our deck's done. I don't know if my opponent's ready yet or still building, but I think the cuts were pretty straightforward. The first cards out are the Griffwing-like thing, and the 2 flyers, the 3-mana 2/1 that trains, and the 4-mana 2/2 that gives other things flying. Those are both fine cards, but we're mostly creatures with 2 Undead Butlers. Like, I think Rot-Tide Gargantuas and Fellstinger to sack things, and Desperate Farmers to force trades. I think these Squires will work out nicely as win cons in our deck. I don't know what the deal is with this, like, lands in the sideboard, though. I mean, it's a good thing that the program gives them to you. It's just these 2 swamps are, like, MIA or something, and it won't let me craft them either. But I'll just cut them. It's not like we're going to board them in, so who cares? Well, maybe it won't even let me cut them. I don't know what's going on. Leave. I want you to leave. Ghost Swamp. Leave my sideboard. Okay, I think we did it. What are you talking about, Danny Boonstra? Who would ask me not to stream? I did just get a little bit of a dead leg, though. Stop putting my leg in such a bad position, curled under the desk. Yeah, I was wrong, Wizard Harry. I don't know if it was a bad prediction. Just a lot of black opened in pack 3. You know, like, I can't know if my read on the draft was wrong or if we just opened a ton of black cards in pack 3. Or just really good packs and people took other colored cards that were better. I don't know, but there was a lot of black in pack 3 and just a reasonable amount of white. I mean, I think black-white was definitely the right color combination for my seat, so I think I did what I was supposed to in the draft. But as I said in pack 2, I would have expected more white and less black in pack 3. Let's see if we can look at the bracket, who we're up against in round 1. SL Kirstens. So let me go grab SL Kirsten's information. Should probably restart Arena once to try and prevent lag as well. I think I've had it open for quite a while before I even started the stream, and you know how the programs are. Hey, thanks for resubscribing, Hunter Pence. Appreciate the 9 months of support. Thank you for the good luck. Always needed. Well, thanks for the compliment, Danny, but, I mean, there's a lot of space out there, you know, like, I'm only going to stream so much. Some people are going to want to watch Standard and stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people do enjoy my stream, and I appreciate it, but I think there's also a lot of other great Magic streams, and certainly I don't think there... I mean, obviously, nobody's ever asked me not to stream, but I do appreciate the compliment. And there's no like, we're not that organized, the Magic community. There's definitely no conspiracies out there like that. Okay, let's play Kirsten's. I mean, the truth of the matter is, you know, it's not an all or nothing thing. I might stream more sometimes, less other times, but I haven't been that into Magic lately, and it doesn't make that much money, frankly. And you know, that makes it hard to do a ton of it. But I do enjoy it. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate the compliments. Let's see if we can win this thing. Thank you, Brendan Morales. Appreciate the support. I know you've been, subscribed pretty much the entire time I've been streaming, so thank you. And I know you used to donate a lot when I used to stream a lot and everything. I really appreciate the great support, Brendan. What's up, Joke? The draft went good. I think our deck's good. I wouldn't describe it as anything special because we never really saw too much busted stuff. But the Welcoming Vampire is kind of a perfect broken rare, given it's a creature that generates card advantage for our deck, and we have a grindy deck with good removal, and we have ways to recur dead creatures, like a lot, 2 Undead Butlers, 2 Courier Bats. So if they kill it, we can get it back, and then we can draw extra cards, and we can hopefully deal with their good things with 2 Bleed Dry, 2 Sigarda Imprisonment. So I think this deck, you know, if things line up wrong, we're not going to crush people on power level, but if things line up right, we should be able to grind out wins against almost anything. I'm very afraid of Planeswalkers. You know, if anybody has any of those good card advantage Planeswalkers in this format, like, we're dead. But if they're trying to win with, like, a bomb creature, we'll just kill it with Imprisonment or Bleed Dry and keep going about our grinding. So we'll see how it goes. I won't be shocked to lose, but I think it's a pretty good deck overall. And if we draw well and we don't get, like, we don't play against specific cards or really bad matchups, I think we can beat almost anyone. Yeah, I agree with that as well, Alexa. The pod didn't seem that overpowered. Like, sometimes your deck will seem good, but, like, you were passing great cards every single pick, even as you were taking good cards. So you know, like, your opponent's decks are probably better if you're playing in pod. But this felt like a low power level pod. A lot of the rares were lands, and even other than that, I was frequently taking the best card in the pack. It's not like I was like, oh, another busted red card, another late red removal, another great green card as I was taking filler black cards. Like, I was frequently taking the best card in the pack. It just happened to be black or white. Like in pack 2 and pack 3, when I was committed to black-white, the best card in the pack overall still was black or white most of the time. It felt like overall the packs were pretty weak in this pod. We did pass that Hellkite. You are right about that, Darrow. Pack 2, we passed the red rare Hellkite. We can kill it. We have 2 Imprisonment, 2 Bleed Dry, but it's a fantastic card. Let me try resending this. Maybe Kirsten sent recently, but not, like, minutes ago. Waiting for server. Best thing to ever see on Arena. A Braid Thunderwonk. I think they're both good, but also the Flame Blast Bolt has much heavier diminishing returns, since, like, a Braid works on 2 toughness creatures. You know, like, even if it trades up a mana better than a Braid, let's say, I'd still rather end up with, like, 3 Abraids than, like, 3 Flame Blast Bolts. So if it was, like, pack 2 or 3, and I had, like, you know, no Flame Blast Bolts, then I might take it. But if it's pack 1, pick 1, I'm going to take the Abrade, just because it's a card I'm less worried about ending up with too many of. Let me message Kirsten's on Discord, see if they're around. Well, it's always more important not to have dead cards or weak cards. Like I said, Flameless Bolt is a good card, but if you draw 2 copies of it, a decent percentage of the time the second copy is not going to have something with 2 toughness or less that you really want to kill. Some of the time it will, but some of the time it won't, and then it's a highly ineffective card. A Braid, there has to be nothing with 3 toughness or less, and that's a lot less likely. So, I mean, I'm not in any way against Flameless Bolt. I'll always play 2-3 copies. Like, if I had 3 copies, I would always play all 3. But I'll take a Braid over it so that because the third, each card is not worth the same. Like, it's a card with heavy diminishing return, so the third copy, when you have 3 copies of it, like, the third copy is not nearly as good in your deck as the second copy, or the second copy is not as good as the first copy. So that's why to kind of mitigate that or whatever. That's not even the right way to describe it. The way I was describing it was right, but not mitigate. Just like the third copy isn't as good. The card gets a little worse as you get more copies. So like a Braid does too, but to a much lesser degree. I don't know what's going on with Arena. Hopefully this is not going to be an Internet of Mine problem. It seems like Streamlabs is doing okay right now. My bars are all green. So I don't know if it's an Arena thing, if it's a me internet thing, or what. I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to again just try closing Arena and reopening it, seeing what's going on, if that fixes it. You're a boomer, Thunderwunk. What's the line for MTG boomer? Like, you know, like we have the real world ones, like, but like, what would you set like the years at for like, you know, Zoomer, Millennial, and Boomer in Magic the Gathering only? Oh, they said they sent a friend request. Let me see if that's there. No, don't see that from Kirsten's. Probably, again, not their fault. Probably Arena's fault, but you know. And then let's try again with the direct challenge. $35+ equals a boomer. I could see it, yeah. Like, if you started playing Magic before the year 2000, I think you're a paper boomer, right? Because Moto came out in 2002 or so. So I think if you started playing Magic before Moto, then you're a paper boomer by, like, default, right? And if you started in the Moto era, hey, that's a really good way to define it. If you started playing Magic before Magic Online, you're a boomer. If you started playing during Magic Online, you're a millennial. If you started playing during Arena, you're a Zoomer. I broke it. See how the cancel thing just got grayed out? That makes me think like it's trying to connect us and failing. Okay, and it's succeeding. Nah, that just means you're very silly, Kajota. Why stay away from the greatest game on Earth for so long? Well, yeah, you're a Magic Zoomer, Flutter. You're not a real-life Zoomer, but in Magic. Thank you, O Scout. Appreciate the subscription. Let us play, Arena. All we ask is that you work. I don't want to constantly degrade your program. WotC's even sponsoring the Sweatsuit Invitational with a bunch of free gems and some money, which was awesome of WotC. Thank you again. But we need Arena to work. Why won't it work? I mean, y'all tell me if I'm doing anything wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is Kirsten's name. Copy and pasted it. Pretty sure Kirsten's has my name right. I have Kirsten's name right. I think this is just Arena being Arena. I mean, it's limited tournament match, right? I'm sure they know that. They're a regular. It's not their first time. Yeah, I don't have a friend request from S. Kirstens. And they're not online. I mean, I can try sending them a request and see if they get it. Oops. I don't need to end those requests. I just need to send them one. Let's see if this works. Okay, well, I sent them a friend request, and that seemed to connect us. So now we can try challenge via the friend list, which will hopefully solve this problem. All right, friend list seems to have worked. I definitely could draw first with this deck in some matchups, but I don't have a lot of cheap removal. I have a lot of expensive removal and creatures, so I think my default is going to be play first. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a 2-lander I can keep on the play. On the draw, I'd probably keep this, but with no cheap cards, no planes, this is a pretty bad hand. Obviously, this is better. We'll put back a Swamp. I mean, it's not some kind of incredible hand. We don't have the life gain or anything, but 3 lands on the play, 2-drop, 3-drop. Removal. Of course, we're not going to mull this to 5. No decision whatsoever. So for now, we have to decide whether to play the Courier Bat or not. I think we play it. Because if we draw a land, we have 2 different good 4-drops and then a 5-drop. So we're going to have stuff to do pretty much forever. So if my hand was more lands and less spells, I would consider not playing it to try and get more value out of it. But I'm going to be able to spend my mana pretty much indefinitely if I draw land 4. So I think it's better to just play the bat. Alright, no real decisions. I'm not against, like, using the Butler loosely, but no reason to just suicide attack it. I could even use it as a chump blocker, and then I'd at least gain some life. So for now, we'll just play the Squire. And of course, will I bleed dry a Stitched Assistant? Only if I really have nothing else to do. It's a good card because, you know, the Sack and the Scry and the Exploit. Once in play, it's a vanilla 3-mana 3-2. Not something that we're looking to use our unconditional removal on. So, do I want to trade with the Squire? I have 1 dead creature. It's not great, not horrible. I mean, the Squire's hard for them to block. I think for now, we definitely take it, because if they play something planning to block it, we can always bleed dry that, and then get in a bunch of damage. And we're on the play, and we're ahead on life, so that's a decent little sequence. And I think that's exactly what we'll do, because the Diregraph Scavenger is excellent. Actually, wait, I don't even need to bleed dry it to attack, right? Because if they block, I can just discard something and give this indestructible, like this 5-drop. So, let me just attack and play Heron of Hope this turn. Like, they basically have no block. I guess they could theoretically Time Walk me, but then it's like I'm turning my Wedding Security into a removal spell, which I'm pretty happy with. It also puts a creature in my graveyard for the Butler. Since they played the Scavenger getting rid of the Desperate Farmer, I don't currently have a creature in my graveyard. But this is nice. The Heron of Hope's another flyer. I'm trying to win this game in the air. I've got removal. I've got ground blockers. So I don't necessarily see them killing me anytime soon. And if they play a flyer, I can bleed it dry. Thank you, Sean. How you doing? Packers are looking good. I know you're from Wisconsin. I don't know if you're actually a Packers fan or not. Okay, so again, we're looking to attack and play the Welcoming Vampire. The question is, do we attack on the ground with a Bloodsworn Squire? Normally I'd say yes, but I'm kind of thinking no. Also, they might just flash in like the 3/3 flyer, and then if I have to bleed dry that, I don't really want my Bloodsworn Squire to trade with their Scavenger, and I won't have mana or some flash something, and I don't even know what. But so, anyways, I think the ground is we're going to look to lock that up, and I think attacks are going to be in the air. I'm not going to pay 2 to give the Heron lifelink because they'll probably just kill it or bounce it anyway. I'll just play the Welcoming Vampire post-combat. If they counter it, I don't really care. It'll go to the yard. I can get back to the Butler. If it resolves, even better. Well, so now that gives us a choice whether we want to play the Welcoming or the Heron. The Heron's more mana efficient, but we'll also draw a card when we play the Heron if the Welcoming Vampire's in play. So even though I'd like to use all my mana, and if I play the Heron, I might draw a land, and then be able to activate the Bloodsworn in combat and play a 3-drop. That said, I just get to tap 4, play Heron, and draw a card next turn, and that's more valuable. So I think the right play is to play the Welcoming over the Heron here, so that when we play the Heron, we can draw a card. Okay, so now we have no dead creatures. Kind of feel like maybe I'm not going to be activating the Squire this early in the game and with this much to do. I already have Heron to play. Just kind of want to block, I think. Save all that damage. I know this is a pretty big trade down, but if they play a flyer, I need to be able to bleed it dry and keep attacking in the air. So I don't want to be taking 5 a turn on the ground. The last time they attacked, I took it because I thought I'd get to attack back with the Bloodsworn Squire, and I was right, I did, and they took 3 from it. But now we're at a point where, like, if I took it and they only played one thing and I killed it, yeah, I get to attack back for 3 and I'm winning the race. But who knows? Maybe they're going to play more removal. If they don't kill the Welcoming Vampire, I'm already kind of winning because Welcoming Vampire is drawing me cards. So obviously a 4/4 flyer, we got to kill that. I chose to go with the Bleed Dry over the Imprisonment because it's 1 more mana. I've never been a Cam Newton fan. I just don't think he's a very good quarterback. He's just not that accurate of a passer. Bruno, Strong Kirk. Okay, we can Imprisonment that and keep attacking in the air. I guess I could also play the Heron. Yeah, they could also have Exploit. Good point, Carlos. Generally, you want to play the Imprisonment last against a blue-black deck if you can. So now we can play the Heron of Hope or the Butler and the Imprisonment if we draw a land. So how greedy are we? Pretty greedy. But, I mean, if I go for the Butler and, well, the Butler is pretty useful. I'm not really sure what to do. I don't mind Imprisonment on the Strong Kirk. If it transforms, it's still imprisoned, right? And it's a flyer. I don't have to imprison it. I can still attack. It only blocks 1. So, I mean, this is an interesting turn, right? I have 2 lines. Well, I guess I have 3 lines. I could Imprisonment the Strong Kirk, but that's way too conservative for me. I could tap 2, play the Butler, and then if I draw a card off Vampire. If I draw a land, I can still Imprisonment the Strong Kirk. Or I could tap 4 and play the Heron of Hope. I think I'm not going to be greedy. We're in a pretty good position. But if this transforms, what's the odds it's going to transform, right? They just have to peel a 6 on top. The odds of that are next to 0. Yeah, let's just play the Heron, draw a card, and then attack. I'm playing the Heron first because if somehow the Welcoming Vampire dies in combat, if they have like a flash creature or a trick, I don't want to miss the card. Okay, now I'm going to attack with all of them. I'm definitely not against jumping with the Butler on the Scavenger, but I don't think we need to do it yet. I mean, I definitely wouldn't just Imprisonment. I would have went Butler if I drew a land, which I did, then Imprisonment. Because that would be a really sweet turn. This worked out pretty well, though. I mean, yeah, they ate the Courier Bat, but they spent a card to do it. And now we could imprisonment the Stromkirk, and they won't be able to stop it with the Cradle, and then we can kill them in the air. So hopefully they just play a ground creature, and then we win. Yeah, he hasn't had great rosters. That's fair. As a Dolphins fan, I can relate. All of our quarterbacks look terrible, and they probably have been, but also our rosters on offense have been very bad. All right, I'm obviously not blocking with the Heron here. Hopefully they just tap out for a ground creature and we can kill them in the air. Even if they have a flyer, though, we're in pretty good shape, right? We can still draw a card, imprison the 2/5, and attack with both flyers. So I think life's looking pretty good. Please don't remind me of that, Sox. The worst decision in franchise history, taking Culpepper over Breeze when they were both free agents. And Breeze wanted to come to Miami, but they thought he was injured or something. It's 15 years later and I'm still triggered. We could have had Drew Brees from 2006 to 2020. All right, no tilting me during the sweatsuit. Come on. So this game's looking really, really good. I was expecting them to have something there, like a removal or a counter, which was not going to be a huge blowout or anything. But if they had a counter, I could still attack with both, and then these would bounce. If they wanted a double block, I'd trade one of my 2/3s for their 2/1 and deal 2. But I was expecting either a removal or a counter, not just have nothing, chump block, go to 1. So we should pretty much have won this game, unless they have something really surprising here. Yeah, I like Heron of Hope a lot. It's really hard to race a gain 3, deal 2 flyer. Mini Baneslayer Angel. So it's going to keep them alive. Does it come back into play tapped or untapped? I think it's tapped. Tapped under its owner's control. So they're still dead, right? If it came to play untapped, they wouldn't be dead. But they're going to... Neither the Scab nor the Scavenger fly. So I think they're dead in the air to the Heron of Hope. It's nice of them to show me all those tricks. And it would have worked if the Stromkirk came back into play untapped, but it doesn't. Probably the fan. My new setup, the fan is much closer to the mic. Let me see if I can move the mic. The mic doesn't need to be where it is. The laptop kind of does, but I can move the mic somewhere further away. Tell me if it gets too low and if the background noise just went away. Do you still hear the background noise? And can you still hear me clearly? I just moved the mic, away from the laptop. And it's a little further from me, but not much further from me. And it's much further from the fan. Yeah, we did so. No, we had bleed dry. Didn't I bleed dry already? Did I draw another bleed dry? I don't know. I see you're another boomer, Socks. Ace Ventura references. The 90s was a good decade for movies. Oh, that's good. Okay, yeah, I'll leave the mic where it is. That was not... That change was low-tech, nothing to... I just literally had the mic next to the laptop and I just moved it away from it. And I got a mic gate going and everything, but I think it was just right on top of it. Binge chilling? I don't know. Life is binge chilling, right? I haven't heard that phrase. Okay, both those words individually, sure, but Dennis the Menace. Yeah, you're making me nostalgic now. All right, we don't have any way to sack it on turn 3, so let's go ahead and play the 2-drop that hits for 2 instead of the one that hits for 1. That's why I played the infantry over the dissenter. If I had like a 3-drop exploit creature, I would have played the dissenter. So this Headless Rider is really annoying. It trades and you still get your 2/2. But the Drogsko infantry is about as good as I'm going to do in that front. So I think this turn is pretty easy. I'll attack. If they make the trade, they get their 2/2. I get my card in the yard to be brought back. If they take it, I have a 1/4, which profitably blocks a 3/1, and I got in 2 free damage. Oh, that's awesome, Thunderwonk. Glad you're enjoying them. Thanks for reaching out to me. 4 color, no green with him. Haven't played with those cards in a long time. I don't really play Legacy, but I remember him. All right, so we don't want to sack our blood token because we have Wedding Security. So this turn just looks like Doom to Center. We could attack, but they're almost certainly going to block. It's pretty fruitless bluff into a 1/3. Hopefully pull out a win. It's a pretty weak hand I have, so it's going to be hard to win this game. But if we draw a bunch of spells or they can't kill the Wedding Security, maybe there's a chance. But every time they exploit, they're making a 2/2. They got a bunch of cards in hand, and they're now scrying and drawing cards. I've got 3 lands and a Wedding Security. Definitely not feeling good. So it seems like this turn is probably going to be pretty straightforward. Any trade with the infantry, I'd still be pretty happy about, I think. I guess if they trade the Stitched Assistant, I'm not really happy because it just turns into a 2/2 zombie token. So maybe not. But then I could put the +2/+2 on something, so it's kind of close. Like, I could put it on the Wedding Security, making it a much more effective attacker next turn, so they can't just trade with it. And they're an exploit deck, so they probably just have the ability to sack things for profit anyway. So I think attacking the infantry is still right. Obviously, it doesn't feel great trading it for the Stitched Assistant, given the Headless Rider. But I don't really have a way to remove the Headless Rider. And like I said, next turn I want to attack with the Wedding Security, draw a card. So if they play blockers, like I can make it a 6/6 now with the Infiltree out of the yard, attack, make it a 7/7. Otherwise, they would have just blocked it with the Stitched Assistant and like a 2/2. And then the Stitched Assistant would have still been able to trade and turn into a 2/2 zombie anyway. This rare is pretty good, Headless Rider. I can always crack the blood token and discard a land later if they kill the security. But if they don't kill the security, then I get to keep the extra land and I get a +1/+1 counter. So there was no rush to sack the blood token. Yeah, we would have had 3 mana left. We would have probably used 2 to play Doom to Center anyway. And then on turn 5, we'd play Wedding Security anyway. It's not like if they killed the Wedding Security, I wouldn't be able to just sack the blood token and discard a land on turn 6 or 7. Okay, so now what do we do? If I put the infantry on the security and attack, it'll be a 7/7. So the only way they can kill it in combat will involve losing the rider, so that's pretty good. Otherwise, I could like imprisonment the 2/5. They might just end up exploiting or something. I think that this probably makes the most sense. even if they like do something on their next turn, I'll still have gotten in the hit for 7 and gotten to draw my card and all of that. And I don't mind going somewhat all in here because, like I said, they're way up on cards. So if I can like try and ride this 7-7 to victory, that's at least a potential way to win. I know they might be able to have something, but if they don't, then it works out pretty well. Like, that worked out really well for us. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying their play was wrong. They presumably didn't have an answer to it, and they have to answer the 7-7. They can't just let me attack for 7 turn after turn. But now we got rid of the 3-1 rare. We've got removal for the 2-5 flyer, for the 4-4 flyer. I mean, I know I don't have a ton else going, but we can play a grindy game now from here. Okay, so I'm going to go land and bleed dry on the Swarm. I'm not going to play Imprisonment because I want to be able to play a land and activate it all at once, because that plays around Bounce and Exploit. If they weren't an Exploit deck, I would not do that. I would Imprisonment the Scab. This way I have a land to discard to the Blood token. But the problem is they might play an Exploit creature and just sack the Scab, and I won't get my Blood token, and they'll get value off the Exploit. This way, with 8 mana, I can just play the Imprisonment, play the land, exile it immediately, and they can never exploit it. And sooner or later, I'll draw another land after this one to discard to it, or I'm drawing all spells, and then I'll be fine anyway, because I'm not really under much pressure. So, that's going to be the plan now. We played land 8. Just going to go ahead and exploit that. Well, I mean, exile that while they can't exploit it, or, you know, bounce it, exploit it, get me in any way. And now any future lands I draw, of course I'll hold, and then I can discard them to the Blood tokens. And if I draw my Courier Bats, which I have 2 of, I have the Gluttonous Guest and the Blood tokens from the Imprisonment. So I'm looking all right to grind. I'm not saying we're going to win. They still have 4 cards in hand. I don't know what they are. But as far as being a little flooded, now we can put our 8 mana to work, playing Imprisonments, making Blood tokens, rummaging away future lands. There are worse places to be. Thank you for that subscription, Equations of Motion. Appreciate all the support. There's that Exploit creature we've been playing around, but, you know, waiting till we had 8 lands to play these Imprisonments. I'm not sure what they're really going to do here. If they want to sack one of their creatures to put one of mine on top, I'm down with that. Not saying it's horrible for them, but we're kind of in a stalemate. I'll take it. Nah, I think it's a better than random draw step. I know it's not a great draw step, but it's kind of like block, gain 2, make a 2/2. Like, that's better than, you know, half my deck is land. I know the next land or 2 I draw I can discard to the Blood token, but, like, this game doesn't look like it's going anywhere fast, so that's probably going to happen anyway, right? I think I'm going to gift the Scavenger, though, since that pretty effectively kills it. I was trying to hold it back in case they had Exploit, and maybe they have more, maybe they don't, but they played the Scab. That's one of the main Exploit creatures I thought they could still be holding. We saw that last game. So I think it's a good time to gamble on the gift now. So they didn't have another Exploit, but they did have a bounce spell. They get to bounce their own creature, free it up, trade me for 2 again when they replay it. It didn't work out too great. Okay, let's discard a land of blood, see what we get. That looks like a decent draw. Except somehow we don't have any creatures in our yard because they keep exiling them all as they play their Scavenger over and over again. So I need to kill the flyer, and next turn I can sack the Blood token and gain life, and then I can play the Courier Bat. So that was a pretty good draw. Well, I already had the imprisonment, but that all come. Oh, the bat being a pretty good draw. Although I don't have any dead creatures yet, but I will sooner or later. I can like trade the Squire for the Scavenger and get it back, or I can chump with the Dissenter and get it back, or just like attack with the Dissenter, and then if they block it, get it back. This game's turned into a real grind. They've played the Lunar Rejection, and they had that Headless Rider make a bunch of zombies. But we've drawn a few extra cards, like via rummaging away lands and making all these blood tokens. Wedding Security drew one. It's too bad they milled that Fellstinger. I would have played that, sacked the Doom Dissenter. That would have been really good for us. That was an unfortunate. They attacked one time with the Swarm out. They attacked with the Scab, milled one, and they hit the Fellstinger off top. What am I playing against LSP? Who is that lucky? Ooh, an Alpha. Wasn't expecting this. I don't know what they have. I don't really care about any of my creatures, so I'm probably going to line up some blocks. The Guest is the one I'd want to lose the least, because then I can, if I lose the other ones, I can gain a life and then play the bat and get them back. So let's see. I guess none of my blocks are that impressive. I mean, 3-3 on 2-2 here. 1-1 on 3-1, 1-4 on 3-5. That looks really good. They probably just have that one black trick that brings back a dead creature. In which case, this block looks great. What are they going to do? Bring back the Binding Geist here when it dies? Like, who cares? And if they have like a -2/-2, I'd much rather them finish off the Bloodstone Squire than the Gluttonous Guest. So that all works out pretty well. I'm not exactly sure what's going on right now. Okay, though. I don't know what they're up to. If they thought Spectral Binding did something else. If they misclicked, I'm really not sure. I mean, they might have just misclicked. They might have meant to put it on one of my creatures. Or they might have thought it was a different card. Like, I honestly don't know. I promise they're not a paid actor. They probably just misclicked. So combat still doesn't look great for me, though. Obviously, this game is starting to look decent, but can't really attack into their 3-5. I want to just get the flyer out to start attacking with, though. And I don't mind only getting back the Doom Dissenter. Obviously, it's not a great card to get back, but there's no guarantee I'll have the Guest out forever. A land is completely dead that I'm rummaging away. The 2/2 flyer can start attacking immediately. So all of this, I think, is fine. Alright, so we're getting really flooded. I just rummaged away another land, so that's 10. But that said, maybe I just attack with everything now. So, like, I don't want the Desperate Farmer to die, though. They would eat the Farmer with the 3/5, and then the 0/3 would block like a 2/2, and they would take 3, 4, 6, 7. What happens if I send, like, everything but the Farmer? They get to eat a 2/2 token with the 3/5. The 0/3 blocks like a 1/1, a 1/4, and they take like 3. Yeah, that looks good. 5, 6. I get in a couple extra points. I'm basically throwing away a 2/2 to deal like 3 or 4. That might be right in a turn or two. It doesn't look great now. And flipping the Farmer would be a lot more appealing if they didn't have a 3/5 that's stopping it anyway. So I don't think for now we want to do much. Oh yeah, I can't send the Dissenter because they'll just block it with the Scavenger. So yeah, all I can do is poke them in the air. I mean, I would bury the Dissenter just to flip the Farmer and get another 2/2 so that I could Alpha attack. The problem is they'll just block Dissenter on Scavenger, so I can't send just Dissenter. It's probably a pretty good draw. If we mill creatures, it helps get us there on the Squire, and overall, it's just a nice card to have out right now. So now, kind of the same deal. I mean, I'm not far from what I would consider a good Alpha. Unfortunately, though, I don't really see it being profitable at the moment. Eat like a Desperate Farmer is pretty bad for me. Eat a zombie token to deal like 4 isn't exciting. I should still have that opportunity. Okay, so that looks good. So now if I play the Gargantua, I can sack like the Dissenter or the Butler. What do I have to get back? Heron of Hope and Courier Bat? So, like, what do we want to do now? If we can get the Bloodsword and Squire, 4 creatures in the yard, that would be awesome. So if I sack the Dissenter, we're at 3 creatures in the yard. 3 isn't 4. If I sack the Butler, we'll only be at 1 because the Butler exiles and returns one of these. I know they're just going to sack this O3, but that removes it bouncing with something. And so I think my Alpha is going to be really good now. So assuming they don't do anything. I mean, they might just counter the Gargantua or whatever. So I think what I want to do here is play the Gargantua, sack the Dissenter, and then I can, like, Alpha with everything. I won't be shocked if this doesn't go, like, amazing if they have anything, but I don't really care that much about the creatures I have out. And if I force them to trade with the Wizard, that's great. And, I mean, otherwise it's just bouncing with the 1/4, and they're taking a lot of damage. And I really don't know what they'd have in hand. They could have, like, a bounce spell. I don't think they're holding a Bleed Dry. They wouldn't take 2 a turn from the quarterback forever, I don't think. I also don't mind just putting a creature in the yard, because that'll be the 4th creature, and then I can flip the Squire, and it should only grow and grow and grow. Hey, thanks, Flex Retro. Appreciate the support. It's a good joke. Just as long as dogs weren't peeing on your fire hydrants, right? I really don't think they have literally anything in hand. I think they're holding like 2 lands. And now we have 4 creatures in the yard, so if nothing else, the Bloodsword and Squire is a 4/4, because we'll happily discard a land and flip it for an extra point of damage. But no real decisions. I'm just going to attack with everything. Unless they have something really surprising, they're dead. Even if they drew removal this turn. I guess they could play it before blockers, make a 1/1, maybe not be completely dead, but they're in really bad shape now. Okay, one of the only rules in Magic you pretty much never deviate from. If you're presenting lethal, you pass and see what they have. Hey, I just saw we got a raid from the Limited Resources himself. Thank you, Marshall. Appreciate the raid. I've been streaming about once a week for the Sweatsuit, but I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm right, too. All right, so we beat Kirsten's here in round 1. We're advancing on for the first time in 2 weeks, anyway. 2 attempts. Let's see who we have next. Looks like we've got Rum Tea. Oh, I should probably record the results now that there's the ability to do that via Match Arena. I don't know if I know how to do that, but I can probably figure it out. So Rachel just came in the room and she's now laughing and pointing because to make the laptop be able to have the fan blow and, you know, not get too warm, you want to elevate it. So what I did was I stacked it on 4 cans of Fancy Feast. Here, I'll show you one of them real quick. Okay. So I built a little like platform for it.
Just funny.
Yeah, so she got a kick out of that. Eventually, I'm going to figure out how to record my result. I don't actually know how, but I'm sure... Well, I'm not sure, actually. I think we can do it, but... I shouldn't say I'm sure. I actually have no idea. Well, it looks like somebody else did it. Probably somebody who knows how technology works. So we're up against Rum Tea next. Let's see if we can get to the finals of this first pod here. Rum Tea. Nah, we'll go against the full Rum Tea. All right, so now we're on the draw. I know this hand is not amazing, but this time we have the Gift of Fangs, 2 lands on the draw, so this one I think is a keep. Whereas the 2-lander on the play without Gift of Fangs, the 2 Swamper I mulliganed, 2-lander on the draw with Gift of Fangs, I'm probably going to keep and hope I get there. So far, so good. We got a Plains. We still can't really cast anything, but... Well, that's a problem. If I Sigarda's Imprisonment it, it's still around, they still draw cards. If I Gift of Fangs it, it would just grow. It's a vampire. So that's a big problem. It's one of the worst 3-drops we could possibly see here. At least that's one of the best 4-drops we could possibly see. They don't draw a card, and it dies to Gift of Fangs. So far, so good. If I draw a land, I can bleed dry that Welcoming Vampire, so that would be really nice. If I can kill that before they draw any cards off it, I'll be ecstatic. Oh, there goes that dream. If I can kill it after they draw only 1 card off it, I'll be happy. Not ecstatic, not that happy, but happy. Still no land 4. No bueno. Let's go ahead and play our cards because I don't really have anything else to do and I have a handful of spells. So I'm not looking to hold my cards for max value because I'm always, for the rest of the game, going to be able to, spend my mana, right? If I draw a land, I've got 3 4-drops. If I don't draw a land, I have 2 imprisonments. Now 1 because I played 1, but if I didn't play 1, I'd have 2. So I'm just looking to spend my mana in any reasonable ways. But this is getting bad because they're drawing 2 cards a turn, which is near unbeatable. I'm 1 land away from killing the vampire, but stuck on 3. It's when it comes into play, right? So I can do it on their turn. So I think we're chilling. Gonna try and bleed dry that Welcoming Vampire before they draw any more cards. If I don't attack with the 1-2, it doesn't really do anything because they can still attack with the Geist and tap the 1-2. And I wasn't looking to block Distracting Geist with Desperate Farmer. So holding the Undead Butler up doesn't do anything because they would just attack and tap it with the Geist. That's why I sent it dank memes. I know it looked like trading 1 for 2, but the reality is if I didn't, it's trading 0 for 2 because they'd still attack with the Geist, tap the Butler, and I wouldn't block with the Farmer. No problem. It's a good question. I'm sure you weren't the only person wondering that. Because I traded 1 for 2, and obviously I'd be happy to trade with the Butler, so it's like, why would you do that? But the reason is they would tap the Butler. On the other hand, I would trade the Butler for the Geist, get back stuff, trigger the Farmer, but that's not an option. And I still don't really want to trade the Farmer for the Geist, and I'm not low enough yet that they can force that, so we're just going to take the hit. All right, hopefully it'll be my turn to start drawing 2 cards a turn. I mean, they can tap 2 blockers, leaving me just the Farmer, so that's not great. Circle of Confinement. Well, they're not going to get any life. I don't have any more Welcoming Vampires. But if they want to race, that's, like, not horrible for me because I have a lifelinker. I know they do too, but the point is we're taking very little damage. But if they keep playing things that block it profitably, then I have decisions to make. So for now, I really want to play a 4. I am dying here. I kind of need to Imprisonment one of the Distracting Geists. This isn't going very well. I think I have to pretty much attack with the Farmer at this point. Go to 6. I might just be dead. I can't do 2 things. If I play 1 thing, they attack, tap 2 blockers, and I die. If I Imprisonment the Geist and pass, they attack, tap 1 blocker. I can block 1 and go to... and I die. Yeah, I think I'm just dead. Wait, what if I Imprison 1 and attack with the Farmer? If they block, I'm not dead. So I think that's my play here. Hope they block. They're too smart. All right, I'm dead. So let's see. Can we do anything about that? Welcoming Vampire is one of those rares that we don't answer particularly well. We have our Imprisonments. I mean, we have our 2 Bleed Dries. I just didn't have land 4. I don't really think we have much in the way of a sideboard. Maybe I should have brought a name for the head last round. They had some zombies. I forgot about that. Yeah, I just didn't think that was a game I was probably winning. Thunderwonk. Such a bad trade. Remember, they just bring back the Distracting Geist and still tap 2 things a turn. Just put it somewhere else. Then I could imprisonment that, but yeah, I was just hoping to race. I was hoping to imprisonment their blocker, hit with the farmer, and flip the game that way. But obviously it didn't come together, but they kept doing meaningful things every turn. I don't think we're beating that with what we had after we missed land drops for so many turns. Hey, thanks, Zelk. I am. I hope Tuesday night is good for everybody for the sweatsuit. Sorry about the shift in schedule. It's actually a little bit better for me. But not a big deal. You know I'll be here sweatsuiting. If I just start streaming more, if I start streaming less, either way, Streamer Draft League once a week. This is a great show. Thanks again, Hunter and Sped, for organizing this, and Watsy and Maturino for sponsoring it. Shoot me a message, Zelky. It depends. If I think I'm qualified for it, like, you know, based on exactly what you want taught or whatever, I would be interested in that. I mean, I've spent my entire life competing in Magic Pro Tours and tournaments and stuff. I don't know if that's esports or not. I've been playing a lot of hours of poker, Thunderwonk, but it's not like any sort of night and day. It's just when I'm playing a lot of Magic and testing for the Pro Tour, I usually will put in, like, you know, 20 hours a week. When I'm streaming a little but like not, you know, hardcore, I put in like 30 hours a week. When I'm streaming this little, I'm probably putting in like 40 to 50 hours a week. It's not, you know, it's just free. It's just a question of allocating 10 hours. You know, 10 hours of testing constructed for Magic Pro Tour, 10 hours of streaming, you know. Should I sideboard in the deal twos? I mean, I don't really want to kill the Distracting Geist with them. That's not very efficient. I think I want to play a proactive game, not a reactive game against them if possible, which is not great for me. But I have lifelinkers. I have ways to grind profitably. I've done commentary for Grand Prix, but never a Pro Tour. The World Magic Cup in 2015, I think it was, is the biggest event I think I ever did commentary for. Okay, that's a great target for Gift, so I'm going to go ahead and kill the Drake before they enchant it and draw cards. I know it's not very mana efficient, but again, we're going to have a bunch of unspent mana this game. We have 2-3 drops in our hand. So now they can shrink one but not both, and I'd be happy to block the Geist with either, their Binding Geist with either my Twin Blade or Courier Bat. So I think I'm going to have to just sit back. I'm probably going to end up losing if Rum has a bunch of stuff to do. I mean, I'm a little flooded. There's not much I can really do here. If I find a way to gain life later in the game, I can do the, like, the Gravedigger thing with the Courier Bats. You know, use one bat to get back the other, then play the other and get back something else. So that's kind of the plan right now. But obviously it's not going well. Not saying it is. I don't know why I played the guest first, just showing them that. Playing the guest, is definitely right, and attacking with the Twin Blade Geist, they don't have a good block on it, so it doesn't really change anything. But if they had some obscure cards that made them want to block, I just showed them I had a guest for no reason. But all we need is 2 good blockers upright. Like, if they attack with the Geist and shrink the bat, the guest eats the Geist. If they attack with the Geist and shrink the guest, it can just still block it. And then the bat can block, like, the Whispering Wizard. Well, if they shrink the bat, it can't. But now we get to go 1-4 on 3-1, 0-2 on 1-1. We can take 3. We're still at 18. And like I said, I'm happy to lose these creatures, especially potentially the Courier Bat, because I can just loop the bats. Although not if the guest dies, I guess. Now I don't gain life. So maybe that was not great. Although I don't know what else I would do. Can't really play around them just casting that. Alright, though, so now we can sack the blood token. We have lands to discard. We're not gaining life, so the other bat's not on, but hopefully we'll find some decent stuff to do. Prolong this game. I really wanted the bat to die, not the guest. Maybe I blocked wrong. I could have put the bat on the Whispering Wizard, which is a really good... Oh, no, the bat had 0 power. Yeah, so I basically couldn't do anything different to provoke them to kill the bat. These creatures that attack and do things are pretty annoying. I don't think we can do anything great here. 2-2 on 4-2, probably the best we can do. Get the Shrinker out of here, and then hope we draw a way to gain life so we can loop the bats. Another Cradle. This is not going well. To be fair, I do have almost all lands. Just a couple spells. Remember, I rummaged away a land, too. I don't know how we really win from here, though. I think we're done. Just a little too much business from them. A few too many lands for me. Not a bad set of cards to draw, but I probably should have tried not to throw away the Guest so that I could have at least looped the bats once or twice for some value. That would have bought me a few more draw steps, potentially. But as you can see, you know, Rum here with 5 lands, double Cradle on this, like all spells. Me with 8 lands. Not great spells. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. All right. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Appreciate the support. I may be eliminated. 1-1, lost in round 2. But the Sweatsuit marches on. Let's give Rum to your raid since he just beat me, and we'll follow his progress the rest of the way through. Thanks to everybody for the support. Hope to win this thing again soon. It's been a while since my first, although I do have like 3 seconds or something. Just like in Grand Prix. I'm just a good loser. Very good. I'm a lot better at getting second in things than first. But yeah, you know, like, obviously it's one of those things where, like, most of the time you lose in Magic, your draws aren't great. Once in a while, your draws are great, and you lose the most epic games, and it's amazing, and you definitely want to shout them out and give the credit to those type of games. But yeah, just, you know, game 1 stuck on lands, game 2 a lot of lands. That's how it goes. Good luck to Rumty. They had a sweet blue-white grindy deck. I'm going to raid them now. That was the semis. They're in through the finals of our pod, and hopefully they can win this thing. At the latest, I will catch you next Tuesday. Always sweatsuiting. And have a good week and enjoy your drafts.